Anyways, real quick. I sent you a couple questions, but I have two others. One is, when you have the deposit of $1,000 and then your earnest money of $900, who holds that money?
That would be what we call the escrow agent, and in the vast majority of residential transactions, that would be the listing agency.
Okay, because there was one question, I was reading back on notes, and you said when you do the offer, send a copy of the check. Do you also send the check with the offer, or just a copy of the check, and later when you're doing the purchase and sale, you send both checks?
When the offer gets accepted, hopefully, then you're going to drop off the hard copy of the check like the next day or shortly thereafter.
Right. So that your listing agent would hold on to it. Does that money then get used for the closing amount, or does those checks get returned and the other money used for closing?
It gets applied to the purchase price.
Okay, so those two checks are applied to the purchase price.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. All right. The other question is, we talked about that, and some of this is I'm trying to decipher what is Massachusetts and what is national. To have the fire department come in and check your smoke detectors and your CO2, is that a national law or a Massachusetts law?
That's a Massachusetts thing.
Okay.
Yeah. They might have it in other states, but it's especially Massachusetts.
Especially. And is that what's Nicole's law, or is something different Nicole's law?
Well, actually, this happened right around the corner from my house here, about a half mile away. There was some snow that stacked up against a chimney vent, the type of gas fireplace chimney vent thing, and the house filled with carbon monoxide, and the little girl lost her life.
Right.
Because they didn't have any carbon monoxide detectors.
Right. Okay, that's a Massachusetts.
Yep.
Okay.
Awful story.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, and I know that when we had snow and we weren't in the house, even when we have snow, we have to be careful where it vents our furnace, that it doesn't pack up against that on the side of the house, too.
There you go.
Same sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Daylight savings time is coming. Check your batteries.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. So, I don't know if you had the questions.
I do. Yep.
A couple of them we talked about already. I don't know. What I'm a little bit still confused about is credit to the seller, debit to the seller, credit to the buyer, debit to the buyer. And the one question where you're assuming a mortgage of $110,000.
They got this one wrong, Helen. I totally understand why you're confused, because this one's wrong. You were right.
Okay, so my answer that the seller gets the credit. All right, so I'm not going crazy.
Yeah, there must be some type of wacky misprint on their part. I don't know.
Okay, and then the one where you are assuming a mortgage presently on the property when the monthly interest charge is $600, and I knew that June 15th you do the, I figured each side had $300.
That's the one I'm saying that's the one I'm saying that they're wrong on.
So both of those they're wrong on and I'm correct on?
Well, I'm looking at question number 64, so that's the one I was talking about.
Okay, so question number 64 should be the seller gets a credit of $300, the buyer gets the debit of $300.
Right.
Now, what about the next question?
The next question is number 54. And remember, when the buyer is buying the house, the mortgage that they are getting, that is money that they are bringing to the table, and the mortgage actually is a credit on their side of the balance sheet. Now, they'll have to pay the mortgage back later, obviously, but it's money they're bringing to the table. It's a credit on their side of the balance sheet.
Okay. That makes sense. See, that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to sort out.
Okay.
Okay.
Now let's go to the next one, which is a lender will make an 80% loan to value loan on a property that's appraised for $72,250 and sells for $73,500. So in that case there, the first thing you're going to do is find out how much the loan is for. So you're going to take your friendly calculator and you're going to multiply the appraised value times 0.8, which is the LTV.
0.8, right.
Which gives you $57,800.
Right.
Then we'll take the sales price.
So you're...
Hold on.
So you're
Hold
using
on.
the look.
Hold on.
All right.
We're using
Sales price.
We're using the appraised value because the appraised value is what governs the loan value.
Uh-huh.
So the LTV, remember, is a ratio of loan value to appraised value.
Uh-huh.
So you always multiply the LTV by the appraised value. What they're selling it for doesn't matter because the bank is only going to loan you according to the appraised value.
Right.
So you take the appraised value and multiply it by the LTV, which gets you $57,800.
Right.
Then you subtract that from the sales price of $73,500.
Okay.
And how much money is that?
That's where I wasn't.
How much money are they short?
That's where I wasn't. I'm working on it because I left the calculator downstairs naturally.
All right, I'll do it for you here. 73.
So
500
57.
minus 57,800. That's $15,700 short.
700.
Now
then they've got the 14,450.
which means they need another $1,250.
Okay. So that's where I wasn't doing it correctly. I was, the other way I was figuring is, I think they had the right amount, but I didn't know whether they had to come up to the 73.5. And the difference between that is between the 72,250 and the 73.5 is the 1250.
Yeah, like most.
And it may be that.
Like most math questions here, the most common mistake would be to take the sales price and multiply it by the LTV, and that would be wrong. You always want to multiply the LTV by the appraised value.
Right. And I guess and see if I originally, and I think that's what I did originally wrong, but trying to work it through, I took the appraised value times the 80%, or in my case, times 20%. And they had the 14,450 if you do it times 20%. But then I wondered if I had to, which is what you did also, to get up to the 73.5, you needed another 1,250.
Yep.
So essentially, you're doing the same thing.
Like I usually say, I mean, math is one of those things. You can, when you get to the fork of the road, take it. Whichever method works for you, as long as you can get to the ultimate destination. I'm sure there's probably a couple of different ways you can do this question.
Okay.
The most important part is to remember that you're going to start working off the appraised value as it relates to the LTV.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Yep.
And then the other two questions, 15, that was what we sort of talked about, and I still wondered, a salesperson lists a property with a contract that allows for sub-agency and dual agency.
Yeah. So now that I see it here, I understand what they're saying, and I can explain it for you now that I can read it.
Good.
And what they're saying is that the broker is the one who actually represents the client, and when you call yourself a real estate agent, you're actually an agent of the broker you work for.
Correct.
and everything goes through the broker. You as a salesperson, you're like, I don't know how to say this, but you're subordinate to the broker in every way. So,
right.
Therefore, it's the broker who actually has the primary relationship with the seller in this particular case. And therefore, you're an agent to the broker, but you're a sub-agent to the principal because there's a layer between you and the principal, and that's your own broker.
And the principal being the
seller.
The seller.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
So
I understood.
So it's hold on, Helen. So it's seller, broker, agent.
Right.
And there's obviously a layer between you and the principal, which is your own broker.
Right. And I understood that, and I think that's why I said sub-agent to the broker. But I understand now that I'm not an agent to the principal. The broker's the agent, and I'm the sub-agent.
Right. It's not a very popular concept, but when you become an agent and you say you got a listing, I hate to break it to you, but in the eyes of the law, you didn't get nothing. Your agency got a listing, and they're allowing you to work on it. Is basically how it works. So I know that's kind of cruddy to think about it that way, but that's how it works.
Oh, I understand that part. Oh, I'm understanding. Let me put it this way: I'm understanding that part now.
Yeah. So move up to broker as soon as you can is the moral of the story. All right. Now the other one too. Now that I see it in writing, this one totally makes sense to me because it says right here, a broker, comma, acting as agent for the seller. So when you're acting as an agent of the seller, you have to do what's in the best interest of the seller, and therefore you are obligated to tell the buyer that tell the seller that the buyer will pay more.
Okay. I was reading it as you were basically dual agency, but not necessarily you present an offer from the broker's former college roommate. So I don't know. I was feeling like you're caught in this dual agency, but you're saying because the broker isn't acting as the agent for the seller, even though he's got a college roommate that's wanting to buy it.
The professional capacity here is the governing rule, and the professional capacity is acting as agent for the seller. Therefore, you have to be loyal to the seller.
Okay. Perfect. Making sense. See, those are the clarifications I appreciate. And
I think, thank you. And I think, once again, when you dissect these answers and more questions and parse them out, and for me, basically, the best way for me to do that is actually to kind of read it. Hearing it for me is not, everyone's different, I like to read it.
Yeah, and I do too, and I realized when I went back that it was easy. I had handwritten them, and I didn't realize I could go back and I could copy and paste them, which was easier for both of us to see and then talk about. And, Jack, I am so sorry that I did not make the time slot I said I would. I feel terrible, but please understand, I was in Chicago and got home at 1 o'clock. At 12 o'clock.
No problem. It just threw me for a loop. I was just actually here, and then I'm like, wait, Helen now? I was like, oh, wait. So no problem at all. It all worked out fine.
Again, thank you. I was home. I played golf. I was home, and I was ready, and I've been doing other things and not looking at my notes.
It looks like a nice day for golf. You already did golf today?
I did golf. It was wet, but I already did golf today. Yes,
Good for you.
I'm interviewing with 2 agencies this afternoon.
Dynamite, excellent.
So I've got a busy day, and I have the exam on Thursday.
All right.
So I appreciate the clarification. This is all so helpful because it helps. I want to understand this. I want to be able to read and understand, and you're helping me to do that.
And hopefully you'll make the vlog. We'll see.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Study hard.
All right. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. She's really nice. So, all right. Thursday. Hopefully she'll pass.